Is Gray Zone Warfare's $100 supporter edition worth it? Well, if you just want to try out the game, the answer is no. The supporter edition is exactly what it says it is. It is only worth it if you have extra money laying around and you feel like supporting this game's growth. If you want to just try the game, well, going with the cheaper edition is perfectly fine. That being said, most of you watching probably have extra money laying around and you're just trying to figure out if the supporter edition perks are actually any good. And that is what the rest of this video is about. The supporter edition will cost you $100 on Steam. It includes all the equipment you get from the previous editions, as well as a 3x3 safe container, or as Tarkov players know it, a gamma case. The biggest locker and stash size, exclusive Gray Zone Warfare clothing and camo cosmetics, as well as 25,000 of the in-game cash. That being said, most of you watching this probably have extra money laying around and you're just trying to figure out if the supporter edition perks are actually any good. That is what the rest of this video is about. There's pretty much no downsides to having this, as obviously having more space the better. And for those of you unfamiliar with Tarkov or games in this genre, having a safe container essentially means that for any items in this container when you die, you'll still have. This includes any crucial quest items that you turn in, or that you have to turn in. I will have to say though, at the time of making this video, I'm not sure if that's meant to be that way or if it's a glitch. But as of now, you can stuff quest items into your safe container, and then so if you die, you can still turn them in regardless. This means that you can not only put loot inside that you would die with and lose forever, or potentially forever, you can also store your essential items like meds, keys, ammos, and so on, which is really, really helpful. Because if you die a few times in a row, the price of your meds and everything you would usually keep in your safe container, or everything you could have kept in your safe container, really starts to add up in price. I will say though that, at least in this moment, Gray Zone is definitely not as hardcore as Tarkov. I mean, the safe container you use is just not as useful as it is in Tarkov. Because Gray Zone is a less punishing game with the ability to fly in and retrieve your gear after you die in the same server, as well as less PvP encounters in general, unless you're deliberately trying to go towards the noob town of the enemy factions. This means that you aren't as pressured to keep stuff in your safe container. Of course, you get the occasional weird shot from the AI that destroys you from like 200 meters away, but for the most part, deaths aren't as frequent or as punishing as Tarkov. So this, of course, means that it can change any time, but at least for now, the safe container is just not as crucial as it is in Tarkov. In other words, the 3x3 safe container is very helpful, and I think it is still the best perk you get when it comes to in-game items for the supporter edition. But just know it's not as useful as it is in Tarkov, because Gray Zone, at least for now, is a little bit of an easier game. The second best perk, in my opinion, is your stash size. It kind of goes without saying that having more space for loot is always nice, but I should add that as of right now, getting high-end gear really isn't that hard. I mean, or maybe it could be harder. So when it comes to losing gear and storing gear, you can always farm good loot and just hoard it into your stash so that if they ever do decrease the spawn rates, you'll have plenty of gear to use. But from a practical standpoint, your stash is probably going to end up full of loot that you're never going to use before the end of a wipe. But hey, more space, the better. So I'm not going to argue against that. Usually with skins or cosmetics like these things, I would just probably wear it once and never use it ever again because, everyone else on the server is going to have the exact same stuff. But I was actually kind of surprised by how effective this camo was. Now, I should clarify, this is definitely not worth getting the support edition by itself. But I will say the camo is actually pretty helpful. I mean, it certainly blends into the jungle environment. And I was actually kind of positively surprised when I was playing with my brother, how often I would just look around for him, but then he would low-key camouflage. I mean, here's a few clips of me again, he kind of blends in. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but again, not the craziest perk, not the craziest feature, but hey, at least the in-game cosmetics aren't a total waste of money. Alright, so the special supporter color name and exclusive supporter badge, I don't really care. I know some people are into that, some people like showing their support, which is cool, but personally, not a big deal for me, so moving on. Regarding all the extra gear you get, it's a nice bonus, and more gear and money never hurts, but again, this stuff is really not that hard to get. This equipment alone certainly doesn't justify getting the supporter edition, but it's just mediocre. For all of you Tarkov players out there, you know that all that bonus gear you get in the beginning of a wipe because of the edition you purchased, you either sell it or you just kind of use it, and you kind of lose it pretty quickly too, because you're gonna die with it eventually, whether you like it or not. So the Sport Edition gives you all the equipment listed, as well as all the previous equipment for all the other editions. So it's quite a bit of stuff, but again, it's not really that big of a deal. If I really wanted armor, assault rifles, snipers, ammo, or whatever, I could easily just farm it from going to a harder area on the map. So overall, the perks that come with the Sport Edition are pretty decent. And if you have that extra money to spend, but you're deciding between getting this edition and spending on like DoorDash or something, then I would say just go with this edition's upgrade. But to reiterate, if you're simply looking to try out the game, or if you're new to this genre, then I would highly recommend you, to just get the regular edition first, and you can always upgrade later if this game and this genre is something that you like. But when it comes to the perks themselves, they're pretty solid, I would say. They're pretty solid. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and please subscribe.